Aloha fam, Unity Grace here, doing another love stream on the start codon in our DNA, the 41st gene. Very important gene in our codons. Hi Karina, hi Elawan, hi Angie. Aloha Neil. Hi John. Right, so we are here sharing. Hi Amanda. And if this video is helpful, if these love streams are helpful, please share. Even though we haven't quite started, but we have really started yesterday. The love stream on the 41st gene, the start codon in the 64 codons of the human DNA. Very important gene because everything that follows the coding that is activated in our genes by a series of proteins in a specific order gives the commands, the start commands for what is to follow. So it's significant. So a little bit about the I Ching and the DNA and the 64 codons of the human DNA. Thank you, Amanda. Amanda says shared. Good. Then people can hear it from the start. All right. We've talked about these things many times before. We will share of them again. But first, let's look at this amazing scenery of the Olympic Peninsula. Ooh. A little bit hard to see on there, but still quite glorious. So yes, the 41st gene is the start codon. What does that mean? So the blueprints of two-strand DNA exist inside of a system or a clock, 64 codons, which make up 64 archetypes or 64 characteristics, personality types, crayon colors in the crayon box of being human. So those 64 codons all partner. So they make 32 pairs. And inside of those pairs, the pairs all work together. That's why everyone is so obsessed with finding their twin flame. It's coded in our DNA to partner. That's how two-strand works. It's always looking for its opposite, its polarity, so that it can experience its wholeness. So all of the genes work in partners. And the 41st gene is the one that flicks the switch or turns on the clock for the new cycle of what is to come. And all of the genes have their own morphogenic field. So you can go to the Gene Keys by Richard Rudd, which you know I love. Richard made it simple. You can go to the Gene Keys to read more about the different archetypes and codons in the DNA. And why is the 41st so special and why are we talking about it today? Because the I Ching, like a clock, is a circle or a sphere, and the sun ticks through the clock. We are suns waiting to burst into stars. from the solar plexus. We just got to get there. So the sun ticks through each gene and activates it, kind of like the sun shining its rays onto a seed that's planted in the earth, that's waiting to germinate. Seeds like sun, seeds like water. Our bodies are made of water. So, what we are programming the waters of our body with is our thoughts. And then the sun naturally helps out by moving through each gene one at a time through the year. And officially yesterday was the beginning of that year. Which is why it's really helpful and important to understand these things, because when we do, we can align with the natural rhythms, the natural clocks that are built into nature and all things in existence. And once we understand how the clocks work, we can align with them to use them to our benefit, you could say, or to truly understand how this process here works. It's like a heads up. If we don't know how the clock works, we might be programming it with lower frequency energies at just the wrong time, so to speak, like the beginning of the new year. So this is a time when we want to have our vibration up. Hi, Lori. It's a time when we want to have our vibration up. We want to be conscious. We always want to have our vibration up and be conscious. It's just maybe if this is the start of the clock and everything that follows, the sequence in the 41st gene right now is what is going to set the sequence in the cycle of the clock. Meaning for a whole turn around the clock, a whole year, not a Roman Greco year. No, that was all about taxes and minions and kings and rulers, just saying. The I Ching is about the real clock. It's about our DNA. It's about our design in our human form and how we naturally operate in alignment with creation, because creation gave us all a role in the play. So we want to play that role to the greatest. I always say, go for the Academy Award for your role in the play, which means go for it. Enjoy it. And how can you go for your role in the play when you don't even know you're in a role in the play? Which has been the confusion for a lot of humanity, not in all cultures, but certainly in the Western culture. A lot of what shall we say, propaganda, media, paparazzi, you know, all that. Famous people. This all ties into the 41st gene quite strongly, actually, because the 41st gene is about fantasy. And if we are in a frequency, we tend to let others program our dreams, which is television and movies. So the 41st gene is activated for about 5 days. Geisei Wei miracles. You know me. That word, day. I don't speak of it as time. I speak of it like it's a miracle. All right. So the 41st gene is activated at this time, which means get our vibrations up, because it's going to set the field, so to speak. It's kind of like setting a bowl of jello, you know? Once it starts to form up, pretty much holds the mold. So that's what the activation of the 41st gene is. It's setting the mold for each one of us for what's to come if our consciousness is still in a relationship with its two-strand DNA. If we have transcended that blueprint, things are a little bit different. So we're giving a hand up for most of the collective who is still in that relationship with 64 codons, polarity, duality, two-strand DNA. Or maybe most of the collective has graduated, and still this is an essential piece, because if you graduated from your relationship with two-strand DNA and your birth blueprint that you came into, which was kind of like a chocolate mold when you were melted chocolate and your spirit needed some form to get its grounding in time and space to figure out how to play this game. So for most people who are still related to their original blueprint, birth blueprint, this is an important time. Now, I am a blueprint buster because you're not your blueprint, but it's helpful to know what model of car you're driving until you can transcend it. Called interdimensional. So this time is about setting the clock for the year, setting the vibration for all that is to come. Each of the 64 codons, Richard talks about this in the Gene Keys, the great book. Each gene key or each codon or each archetype in the DNA has its own morphogenic field. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. Morphogenic fields are powerful energetic fields that you might not be able to see with your eyes, but they exist. And they hold a collective consciousness in them, so they're powerful. It's like if you're going along in your kayak in the ocean, and maybe suddenly it gets a little bit hard to paddle. Maybe it's because you're going against a current, but you can't exactly see it, but it doesn't mean it's not there. That's what morphogenic fields are like. They're fields of energy, collective consciousness. So they have powerful emanations, and each codon has its own morphogenic field of consciousness, which is what gives it its archetypal quality. So then those morphogenic fields influence you, and they influence me inside of the blueprints that we are born into. Just like if we were liquid chocolate, melted chocolate being poured into a chocolate mold, that melted chocolate is going to be completely influenced by the structure of the mold. The structure of the mold is a container. The container is meant to be transcended, because ultimately containers become limitations. They can be helpful in the beginning, but eventually, through evolution, or the shortcut out through the 35th gene, we're meant to transcend those containers. Containers are meant to be broken, dissolved, cracked, open, for a higher or more holistic form to birth from it. So each codon has a morphogenic field. Now let's go to the flower of life. You all know what it looks like. I know you do. Bunch of circles connected together. Easily ties into Metatron's cube. What are all those circles in the flower of life representing? They're representing morphogenic fields. Each one represents a codon in the 64 codons. So each bubble, each circle, each sphere represents a morphogenic field of consciousness that has characteristics to it, which is why if you look in the star knowledge bundles, you'll see all the different archetypes from all the different belief systems merged. Because they're all same. They're interpreted different through different cultures, through different languages, through different environments. But ultimately you begin to see that the archetypes throughout all cultures are the same. And the flower of life represents all those individual morphogenic fields of archetypal consciousness held together in a greater sphere, the flower of life, the 64 codons, which is what unifies all of us. Yes, it does. We are all one family, unified in 64 codons in this reality. So, back to the fact that the sun, according to the clock, keeping in mind the clock is related to this reality. The sun went into the 41st codon yesterday, which is the start codon, which activates our entire sequence for the year to come. So get your vibration high. Yes, I've already said it a few times. Saying it again. Meditate, celebrate, levitate, aviate, our Merkabas, have fun. Keep that kundalini up. Rise it up to the top of the head, keep it there, where it belongs. Not down in the lower 3 chakras, that's a waste of kundalini. At least if you want to graduate, that's all I'm saying. Maybe you're having fun in 2-strand DNA. If you are, enjoy it. Many are ready to graduate to a more holistic way of being. Unity consciousness, where all things are equal and shared, and all players equally understand how to play the game, the rules of the game. How does the hologram work? Unity consciousness transcends survival of the fittest, and suddenly everyone remembers how creation is played. So what do you do when there's no longer a survival of the fittest world and alpha male at the top and all of that? What do you do when the consciousness is shared equally and the rules of the game are shared equally? What do you do together? You create art, you create beauty as a thanks back to creation for the game. That's what you do. Trust me. I know this. I graduated once or twice. Just came back as a messenger. '41st codon this week. Vibration high. Now, some other things to share that are very significant. We live in a holographic reality, and you and I all know what that means. Yes, we do. We've been through this before. We know what it means. Holographic reality, just like the little chip on our Visa card, our credit card, or our bank card, or in the crystals at the crystal store. The holographic reality means that each one of us has the entire reality inside of us. This is a powerful thing. Because it truly means, as Nelson Mandela said, be the change. Why do all the greats tell us that? Because we are far more powerful than we realize. Maybe we realize it now. Just be the change. '41st codon this week activated start codon, which means you and me and all of we can go within and change the entire hologram for all life, reverence for all of life, and through the higher vibrations, through the higher frequencies, we can rise into the higher aspects of the DNA, gifting and seedy, and we can collapse the polarities of them within us, which is the shortcut through the 35th gene, the secret codon hidden in our DNA. Just collapse the polarities within and take the ride all the way through on the wormhole of creation. Few little secrets. So remember, my battery on my phone is going a little bit low. So maybe I will wrap this LoveStream up and I will keep going during this 41st activation as I am guided. Here's how the 41st works. The inertia of the past holds us back, and the vision of the future keeps us so hungry that the inertia of the past holding us back and the vision of the future that has us so hungry for it to come keeps us out of the present. Be present, because that is where real creation occurs. Co-creation, collaboration, conscious creation occurs in the presence, in the present. That's the trick with the 41st gene, the starter codon. This week, not only meditate, keep your vibration up, keep your kundalini to the top of your head, be present and mindful of our energy, where it is going in every moment, and call it home. Because creation, conscious creation, occurs in the present. That's why it's called the present. Inertia of the past is creating more of the past, and hunger for the future creates a whole lot of hope that is unfulfilled in the fantasy of the shadow, because the past keeps pulling us back, saying, we'll never get there. All right. I think I will sign off, battery level and all. I love you. Thank you for tuning in. If this LoveStream is helpful, and I'll do some more, maybe I'll do another one later till the phone gets its little charge, even though we're just pretending. Bless, bless, little battery. Just pretending the phone needs a battery, and we're just pretending that we're using a phone as an interface when we're really not. We're already in unity consciousness, having fun playing this game. And remember, there is nothing to come between us and source.